In this exercise, we're going to be discussing interferences. One of the main reasons we design things in 3D is to check for interferences. So we want to have an automatic tool that'll go through and tell us about these. If I come up to the Inspect tab, I actually have a Analyze Interference tool. What I can do is I can start defining sets of things to compare. Now, if I just come in here and I define set 1 and set 2 and I hit OK, it'll actually go through and give me everywhere where there's an interference. So I can see there, this part is interfering. It gives me the exact volume and it highlights it in red and tells me where it's at. Now, if I want to select everything in this part and check for all my interferences, the way I do that is I just get everything and select the very first set. Come in here and do it in the browser. Probably the easiest way here because there's so many parts. Hit OK, and I don't even do a second set. I do everything in the first set. And what that does is that causes it to check everything against everything else. If I did it in 1 and 2, it only compares 1 to 2. So if, for example, in 2, if this was interfering with itself over here on that first one I did, it wouldn't show it to me. But because I did everything in group 1, it's going to show me everywhere where I have violations, everywhere where I have interferences. And you can see there's quite a lot of them. Screws or these little keys here. And it's just something maybe I missed. Sometimes threads will show up no matter what. And that's okay. You can just ignore those. Nothing major. If you had some major violation, you could see it. If you come in here and you rotate this around, we could check it again. So we could actually check it in multiple positions. Because let's face it, you may not have interference when it's in the up position. What about when it's in the horizontal position or the down position? Parts move, machines move. So you have to check all those locations. So check them, run them against themselves. It's very simple to do. There's not a whole lot to it. You just say Analyze Interference and select it and you run it through, and it's that easy. Now, I don't think Inventor is going to give you any kind of guarantee about your design. These are just very basic tools for you to use, and I think they're very powerful and they're very good and they are reliable, but garbage in, garbage out. So I always take everything with a little grain of salt, and if I know there's going to be a tight area, I will really closely go in there and analyze it. I'll zoom in, make sure I have everything modeled correctly, and then depending on what it is and how fast it's moving, I may actually add in some buffer in there because it's only as good as what you tell it. But this can give you a really good idea where you may have some interferences, and then if you just had something just blatantly sticking out, it would warn you and tell you that, hey, you've got some interference there. Tried this with some moving parts, move some things around, see what you can do, and check for interferences. Also really good when you're assembling things, when you're very new at assembling things, to make sure that you didn't invert a constraint or something like that and put a part inside of another part by accident. Especially something like this where you have this weldment here. If this was inside of this part, I would never know it if they were two separate parts. So if I ran interference, it would tell me that, hey, these are two separate parts and one's 1/1000th of an inch inside of it. 1/1000th of an inch may not make that big a deal here, but if it's stuck out here, it may catch something else, or it may be a 1/2 inch and it may stick out the other way. And I didn't notice that I pushed it into my part, or I shortened my shaft by accident by pushing it into the shaft too much. So you can do some pretty nice analysis with this. Play with it, see what you can do, and see where you have some interferences.